Hey there, back again to talk about the always exciting trials and tribulations of, the whole journey of figuring out that I have autism and finding the resources to help me with that to function in this world. Um, yeah, I think yesterday I was talking about how I had a meltdown where I was wanting to go run an errand. My body said no. My mind said, "You have to anyway." And I had a meltdown, and I stomped my foot so hard that I'm still limping around. Uh, and luckily, that was the same day as my weekly adult autism support group. It meets online. I found it. I think we've been doing it for 5 or 6 weeks now, and so yeah, it was really fantastic to be able to share that in a space where um, I didn't feel like people thought that I was crazy or whatever. They just said, "Hey, it sounds like you had a tough start to your week. Sorry about that." And they have their own similar experiences. And my partner reflected back to me that the previous week I had said I didn't want to attend. I wasn't feeling like I would benefit, and I wanted to skip. But I realized that I shouldn't skip because I signed up for it, and I went and I had a great time in ways that I couldn't even have predicted. Like we we have a topic every week that we discuss, but you know, I I'm in this like period of unemployment, and the facilitator of the group kind of started the discussion by saying like, so Eric's in this in between, like trying to enjoy his break but also feeling worried about the future and what comes next. And that became like the beginning of our discussion. And I didn't expect anyone to really remember what I had shared, let alone spend any time helping me figure it out or even just to discuss it in any way. So that was really cool and unpredictable. I couldn't have predicted it. So I had the same kind of experience yesterday. So glad that I went. And then this morning I met with my therapist, who is my new therapist. I haven't had one for a while, not a consistent one for a while, and I have never had a therapist who is specifically an expert on neurodivergence, and this one is. And she is really great to talk to, and we discussed, finding employment that would suit me, like working from home and other. Mainly that's kind of what we were focusing on, and also helping me get a diagnosis or finding out how to get an assessment. So I was able to connect with the Department of Vocational Rehab. Again, I submitted an application a while ago when I went on medical leave, but I called them back to ask about how they could support me in getting an assessment. And they were like, "Yes, what's your name? Oh, as a matter of fact, we were going to finish our decision on yours today. And if, basically if I'm accepted, then yes, they can pay for me to have an official assessment," which for the past 3 years, I really wanted one, and I had this feeling, this belief. It's not entirely based on nothing, but I had this defeatist attitude that because I didn't have any money, I couldn't afford it, and it was like an access thing that only rich people could have, or only people who were supported by rich people could have. Or I had these really, unfortunately, I had decided that it was not going to work out, and that's been a pattern of mine my entire life. In a way, before I knew I was autistic, I thought, I learned about personality theory, and I was like, oh, these things are related to my INFP personality, and that's why I'm limited in these ways, and I can't do X, Y, and Z. Rather than, I had some friends multiple times over the years reflect back to me that I was limiting myself rather than recognizing the limitation and endeavoring to push beyond it. Yeah, I'd like dig my heels in, and I declare like I'm just being myself. I can't do this. I don't want to do that because it's not who I am. Sure, in some cases that's true. Like, I did have to learn how to honor and respect the things I really did and didn't want in my life, socially, in relationships. It's unfortunately true that I have been in relationships that I didn't really. I was at the very least extremely ambivalent about it from the get-go. I've had that happen a few times, and I even knew in my heart of hearts, like I should tell them that this isn't right, and I'm so sorry, but we shouldn't see each other. But I couldn't do it. I was like afraid to hurt them, and then it went on, and it got way worse. The problems manifested in ways I couldn't have imagined, and it ended up being that both of us got hurt more than what would have ever happened if I just said in the early days, like, hey, I don't think this is going to work out. So it's tough. It's tough to be honest. I had belonging needs that were really intense. Again, just unrelated to autism, but I was adopted. I was adopted and abused, unfortunately, by one of my caretakers for years, and so I developed this isolationist sort of adaptation, where I just, I decided that since it hurt so bad to be around people or to have them not understand me or the fear of what they might do, I may as well just not try and stay alone, do my own thing. There was a period in college where I just would have, fortunately I had my own room because I worked as an RA, and I would just keep my blinds closed, and I felt like a total shut-in. When I wasn't in class, I was just in my room on the computer. It was the way that I adjusted to my first taste of adulthood and being on my own. So there's nothing bad about it. It's just how life goes. But in retrospect, I can understand how I was limited, and I can understand what I might have preferred to have done if I wasn't limited in those ways, like socializing more, meeting more people, having more experiences. I was in college. I didn't really do much of anything. And, with the awareness that I have now, maybe I would have found some ways to do more, but I wasn't that person. I didn't have the awareness that I have now. And so it's kind of like now I want my life to change in these certain ways. Like I'm in between jobs, and I don't know what my future jobs, my careers will be, how I will earn my keep, so to say. So I can get really upset about it. I can be really particular about wanting one thing or another, and feeling mad that it's not happening. oh, I applied for this part-time janitor job and they won't get back to me. Oh no. It's almost a cliche. You might have heard it, but it could be that there is a much better opportunity coming along that I would have closed myself off to if I just was able to make things happen and just let my ego run the show, so to speak. So that's kind of been the case with dealing with my meltdowns, though, and trying to get support and just be an autistic adult in this world and get by. My ego was deciding that it was impossible and unfair. And yeah, I was like having meltdowns and that, but I also was just kind of staying frustrated. And my partner is very, very patient. She would very often give me the more realistic analysis of the situation and point out where I was being a little bit black and white, too negative about assuming how nothing will work out and all that. It's a really deep pattern for me. But yeah, it wasn't usually until a lot later that I would recognize that. And now I see that I could never have just made myself get it and figure it out and trust the process and go with the flow and not worry. There's my cat, Doug, checking out our snake, Lucy, who is usually hiding. Sometimes she crawls around and he gets a big kick out of it. Yeah. The meltdowns, I've kind of had to learn how to roll with the punches, I guess you could say, and not to make it all like psychological or spiritual, but like, yeah, my ego has a specific idea of what should happen, and it's hard for me to like kind of let go and trust the process, but that really is what I have to do. And part of that is getting through a meltdown. I know now that I can't prevent them forever. I can't really prevent them at all. I can just make them less likely. I can try to make my environment such that I will have fewer of them, and I can try to de-escalate when I feel the rumble stage, as it's called, and not get to a meltdown. I can try, but mostly I just have to figure out how I can cope without hurting myself and breaking something. And yeah, that's the best I can do, and that's really not so bad, because it helps me to let go of the shame the perfectionism brings. I don't know how common it is. I know it's really common, but I was a perfectionist since I was a small child, and because of that, you don't want anyone to ever see you being anything but perfect, obviously, which is a ridiculous thing. It's like kind of almost like narcissistic in a way, how upset I would be to be perceived negatively in any way. But yeah, I am a person with all of the emotions that come with that, and sometimes they get the better of me, and sometimes that happens around people, and I really wish it didn't, but that's something that happens with meltdowns, whether it's from autism or PTSD or whatever, that you have to give yourself grace. And mostly other people that I've been around have given me a lot of grace, and I'm really grateful for that, because I know that it's not necessarily a guarantee. I'm on those subreddits and different, YouTube comments and stuff that you hear about people going through these kinds of things and how the people around them don't get it, and kind of exclude them and decide that they are a negative person somehow, it's unfortunate. So I do hold again the image, the belief, the hope that this information will become the mainstream in this age where everybody has the internet, and hopefully soon, yeah, we'll all just get it and we'll know how to work with each other, and wouldn't that be awesome? Anyway, yeah, so I hurt my foot because I had a meltdown because I couldn't get myself to do the thing I needed to do at that time I thought I should. But fortunately, my autism group, was there to basically support me in the aftermath of that. And then also, yeah, fortunately, I finally found a therapist who is a neurodivergence expert who is really helping me with the things I really need help with. So yeah, I couldn't have predicted exactly how it would work out, but fortunately something is working out. And I guess, as they say, my adoptive dad frequently will say, like, it's always working out, even if we can't see how it is in that moment. There's always a process upon which our best and highest good, everyone's, the whole thing, is coming to be. But you can't, it's like a conversation that develops over time, where we just have to learn stuff. And a few thousand years ago we would deal with things in one way that now would seem obviously not the best way, and that's because we've had a lot of experience in time. We're in the third dimension, where the material world develops over time and things are revealed over time, and so we want things to be instantly manifested. And it's also a part of the Neville Goddard teachings, I guess, that kind of manifestation school of thought, that you feel in the moment right now fully that you have everything that you need right now, even though your brain will tell you that that's ridiculous. I guess that's really what it's about. It's not about focusing on the car that you're going to drive and exactly how it feels, and just daydreaming constantly until it comes to you. But yeah, because that kind of leaves you in this maybe sort of excited feeling that ultimately comes from a feeling of not having something. I guess you could call it lack. And so yeah, it makes sense to me that filling your being with that feeling of having everything you need, that makes sense to me, that would be a way to go about this, especially when I consider the fact that the ego, the way that my ego wants me to do everything, usually just really exhausts me, is inefficient, and then oftentimes the result is like very subpar, or at least different from what I had sought to do. So yeah, I guess it's a kind of going with the flow, but not really just lackadaisically sitting there until someone tells me to get up, but like in my body, the feeling when I'm being honest is like kind of a relaxed feeling, versus the feeling when I am being kind of phony is an uncomfortable feeling. And I think that I can use that in general to navigate each moment, what I should do. And I think that's kind of how I'm taking the go with the flow message. to mean, yeah, trust in your heart, you could say, trust your gut. I think the heart is a really good one. For me, though, it can be kind of hard to feel into. I was working on this piece of advice I heard to tell myself in the mirror, I love you 12 times. And I couldn't really feel it. It was a nice thing to be doing. I believed in the positive intention behind it, but I didn't really feel anything per se. It's interesting because I have known definitely in the past there have been more intimate times when I was more accessible. It was more tender, I guess, and I could really feel it if I were to say that, perhaps. So yeah, the heart can be a tricky one. The gut can also be tricky if you're like me and you have a lot of anxiety and you have a lot of thinking about your anxiety. It's been hard for me to know what is my fear brain and what is my intuition. And I've come across a guy on YouTube recently called Jonathan Ashford. He's a near-death experiencer who I've enjoyed listening to, and he talked about that. He has a blog, and I guess I'm sort of giving him a shout out to his blog because he has this great, they're all great, every single entry that I've read, and this one in particular is, I think it's called Divine Communication, and it was about that. And essentially it was kind of reflecting what I said before, that the divine communication is like it's quiet, and it happens before the other part of you kicks in. I have to read it again, but it really felt to mirror that sense that you trust the feelings coming from your gut as to whether or not something is true, whether something is good for you. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm working with. That's what I'm working on. Trying to get through, unemployment and managing my meltdowns in ways that are better. So yeah, I hope you guys are also going with the flow in ways that are healthy and helpful to you, and that you're having a great time. And I'll see you tomorrow or whenever I make the next video, but I'm going to try to be back tomorrow.